The following episode of the Kingdom of Isolation contains footage from the film being discussed. The footage is used solely for the purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Please support the animators by watching this film on Disney Plus or home media where available. This episode also contains spoilers throughout.
Hello, my fellow Pixar fans, and welcome to the Kingdom of Isolation. When in times of trouble, why not celebrate the magic of Pixar? And today, it's the final pandemic film for Pixar. Turning Red came out on Disney Plus in 2022. Why was this not put in theaters when it was released? The pandemic was basically over. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. But seriously, why? Unacceptable! Thankfully, every film after this would get a theatrical release before being put onto Disney Plus. But we've been conditioned to wait for them to come out on Disney Plus by this point, instead of supporting your movie industry by watching these films on the big screen. At least we have the Embrace the Panda documentary, which will give us some more behind-the-scenes stuff on the film. The same will go with Lightyear, the next episode. Too bad those are the only two films here that have those sort of documentaries on Disney Plus. Still, onwards we go to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where he's weighing in at 241 pounds, the rated R superstar, Edge. Hope you're proud of that one, Tony. Red was the working title for the film, thanks to behind-the-scenes footage of the making of the film. What's also really cool about this is that the main crew for the film, producer, director, etc., are predominantly female.
I have spent the entirety of my career in meetings where I was one of very few women. Now sitting there and making plans and it's all women in the room has been this really crazy thing and very different for me.
That way, you can have a true to life representation of what an adolescent girl goes through when she reaches puberty. During the pandemic, the director decided to have a weekly coffee time with the crew online, just to catch up, share ideas, etc.
Domi said, well, maybe I could do like a coffee time or something just so we can keep in touch with the crew. And we all went, oh, what a great idea.
Just like Sol and Luca, working from home isn't always easy, especially when one has kids around. Domi Shi, who is the director of this film, sees a lot of herself in May.
There's so many elements of me in May. Spunky, loud, doesn't care what anyone thinks.
And it's shown brilliantly in the behind-the-scenes footage.
I'm Domi Shi, the director of Red, and ever since we started making this movie, we've been breaking convention and making people laugh 24/7, 365.
Legally, it's 9 to 5, 261.
A lot of the crew's characteristics were also used to create not just May's character, but a lot of the characters, a lot of the Asian characters in the film. Everything from the round faces to the thick ankles and the features on their faces as well.
We were like looking each other's faces. We're like, hey, we got moles. She should have moles.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, Rona, you have
funny lips or something.
Yeah, you have like that dip in your lip. Let's put that in.
Yeah.
Hey, Rona, you have really
like,
patchy
eyebrows.
For the team's research, they went to various temples around California, including the Bokai Temple in California.
I also spent time living behind a temple with my grandma in China, and I just remember it being just a really lovely memory.
And they also pay homage to anime throughout the film, and I'll go more into detail about why I love that particular detail later.
We're paying homage to anime throughout the entire movie. You can see it in the expressions and the acting, the starry eyes in May when she sees a boy that she really, really loves.
The Turning Red documentary was dedicated to Shannon Ryan Nicosia, who passed away at just 51. Rest in peace, Shannon. Cause of death, I'm not sure what the cause of death is, but probably best to keep it that way. And it said in the dedication as well, beloved mother, daughter, and the true embodiment of Red Panda's strength. Now we have a lot of the documentary stuff out of the way, even if I'm not the target audience for the film. Shall we begin? Honestly, the decision to cancel the film's theatrical release and instead release it on Disney Plus was met with backlash from the film's animators, who saw the move as disrespectful to their hard work, and rightly so. One crew member spoke out anonymously, saying, "We're all feeling extremely disappointed. Until today, we all thought Turning Red would be our return to the big screen, and everyone at the studio was excited about this project in particular. It was quite a blow." As like I say, I don't blame them. If I was part of that animation team, I'd be fuming as well. Domishi also spoke out against the decision, saying, "We made this movie to be seen on the big screen." Thank you. When the director says that, you've got problems, Disney. Domi, as well as production designer Rona Liu, cited video games like Pokemon, Earthbound, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild as influences on the film's visual style. I like that. With she explaining, both of us just love that chunky, cute aesthetic, and that was definitely fostered by playing Nintendo games like Pokemon, like Earthbound. There's just something so appealing about how they're able to stylize their world in such an appealing, chunky, and cute kind of way. When we were looking at the looks development for our movie, we looked at Breath of the Wild and we were like, wow, how are they able to make the world feel so beautiful and rich, but are still able to simplify it? The film was banned in Kuwait due to explicit depictions of puberty as well as other mature themes for some inexplicable reason. This seriously gets banned for something that is a natural part of growing up and development. Unacceptable! Had to use that again because again, it's warranted. This film was produced in 4 years, amazingly. One of the quickest productions for a Pixar film. This film is set in Toronto, Canada, which I've already done with my Tony Chimmel impression for Edge Central during the early 2000s. Turning Red gave the artists and filmmakers responsible for building the environment a clear jumping off point. Toronto is a real place, after all. But while the city's recognizable skyline, architecture, style, street signs, and Chinatown proved invaluable resources to filmmakers, their recreation would be unique. For starters, it all had to be chunky cute, says Rona Liu. We are looking at this world from a 13-year-old's lens, so we rounded sharp corners and angles and didn't taper shapes. Everything is round and pretty. Several sequences take place within May's middle school, showcasing friendships and new interests away from her mother's watchful eye, for the most part. Artists had to build the middle school with the film's city setting in mind. Domishi pointed artists toward the school she attended, and set supervisor Steve Karski actually found the blueprints for the school. We used them as inspiration to see how an urban school in Toronto might be laid out, he says. Toronto is also the hometown of the director of the film, and the characters of Turning Red. It is featured prominently throughout the film, calling for specific nods to iconic locales. But compared to the representation of New York City in Seoul, Turning Red aims for a less realistic look. Well, I mean, given the fact you've got some anime visual, given the fact you've got some anime cues in the animation, yeah, you can understand why they wanted to go for a less realistic look for Toronto compared to something like Seoul. It feels more like a very soft, colourful, magical, idyllic, almost youthful version of the city. according to executive producer for the film, Dan Scanlon. This film's events take place between April and July of 2002.
The number one rule in my family: honor your parents.
Ooh, right out the gate with the Oriental music. And that's provided to us by Ludwig Göransson, who's worked on Black Panther, the first Venom film for Marvel, as well as Tenet and Oppenheimer, alongside Christopher Nolan, winning 2 Oscars for Black Panther and Oppenheimer, 1 for each film. He's also worked on The Mandalorian and the first 2 Creed films.
Honoring your parents sounds great, but if you take it too far, well, you might forget to honor yourself. Luckily, I don't have that problem.
And Mei Lin Lee here is voiced by Rosalie Chang, who has Starfield on her resume in terms of credits, as well as a guest appearance on The Simpsons, because everybody's been on The Simpsons at some point.
And I will not hesitate to do a spontaneous cartwheel if I feel so moved. Crap!
And I knew right there, I thought 12 rating for that alone. Somehow, it got a PG. And in the US? Very unlike the MPAA, as that would normally have a PG-13 rating just for something as petty as that. Anyway, we also get introduced to the rest of the squad up. Ava Morse voices Miriam. Ava's also been in Ron's Gone Wrong. Oh, I would say that 3 times faster. The previous year. Priya is voiced by Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, and she's been part of the My Little Pony franchise for the last nearly 3 years now at time of recording. Then we get the scene stealer of the film, and I mean every scene she's in, she finds a way to steal it.
What's up, May?
Abby, voiced by Hyen Park, who's also worked in the art department for the film, as well as other Pixar films and the short Bow. Side note, why does Miriam strike a resemblance to Alberto in Luca? Like, no joke, you compare them side to side and you'll see what I mean. Everyone had to tap their inner 13-year-old to capture the style that Domichi wanted, according to Turning Red producer Lindsay Collins. It's a world seen through the eyes of May. Everything is vibrant and colourful. The design is textured and tactile and chunky, and the animation style, and every now and then facial expressions are pushed. The characters are caricatured, and the way they move and pose is fresh. Domi's stylization is extended through art, animation, character, lighting, and her passion for anime shines through.
Let's burn this place to the ground!
Barely 10 seconds and I already love Abby. Another example?
My mom cuts his hair at the salon, and I felt it. It's very soft.
Abby's always been my favorite of the quartet since the film's release, and no one's changing my stance on that one.
May I remind you what real men look like?
Did I forget to mention this was set in the early 2000s? The golden age of boy bands. Well, mind you, you could argue the entire 90s decade as well. For me, during this particular time period, it was Westlife and Blue. For me, if you zoom in at this point in the film, you can actually see Abby visibly shaking, and then the cute anime eyes are on show, further adding to why I love the animation in this film. It is genuinely like watching a Pixar anime. Miriam only lets May go back home if she can pass the gauntlet, which is doing a rendition of 4-Town's track Nobody Like You. According to She, if you set a 13-year-old girl's coming-of-age story in the early 2000s, it's pretty much mandatory to include a boy band. We needed our character May to be obsessed with something that her mum would not approve of. How many girls these days are obsessed with Sabrina Carpenter, even with how what's the word we're looking for? Risque. Some of her music is. And you could argue the outfits as well. Boy bands were the first step into the world of boys for a lot of girls that age. Yeah, let's work this out. You had the Beatles in the 60s, you had the Jackson 5 in the 70s, you had groups like Wham in the 80s, and then the 90s come into play. Where do we begin with that list? You had Take That, you had Westlife, you had NSYNC, you had the freaking Backstreet Boys. And some of the girls also, even though it's a girl group, but still, I'm including them in this just because why not? The Spice Girls as well, for a lot of girls in that time period as well. So the girls did have a girl group they could look up to. And don't worry, my fellow church friends, it's alcohol free. Don't worry, my fellow church friends, it is alcohol free. I've actually got another bottle in the fridge. Might keep that for New Year. The guys were all super pretty, polished, soft, and loving, and they had a way of bringing girls and their besties together. Plus, I thought it'd be really cool to create an animated boy band. I mean, fair play, Domi. Fair play to you on that one. An animated boy band. Didn't think I'd have that on my music bingo card that particular year. Could you imagine if Fortel were an actual band? Anyway, May heads home to her temple.
Hey, Lisa.
Referencing The Simpsons for some reason.
How was school today?
Killed it per usual. Check it out.
Oh, that's my little scholar. Today, honor student. Tomorrow, UN Secretary General.
That's May's mom, Ming, voiced by Sandra Oh, who was always going to be Domi's first choice for the role, right out the gate.
We definitely couldn't have written Ming without input from Lindsay and other moms on the show.
Sandra was best known for playing Dr. Wang in Grey's Anatomy. In the temple, 2 adult cats and 1 kitten lie in front of the gates. The 2 adults bear a strong resemblance to King Totoro and Cat Bus from My Neighbor Totoro, all aboard the cat bus. One source of inspiration from the film, for the film. To create the film's representation of Chinatown and the Lee family's ancestral temple, artists did extensive research from careful analysis of 2 specific streets in Toronto's real Chinatown to visiting the Asian Museum of San Francisco, and collaborated with a host of consultants. Cultural authenticity was super important to us. Domi goes on to say, we took several trips to historic temples in California built by early Chinese settlers just to get a feeling of what these grassroots temples are like. Ming's character was originally written to have been incredibly happy that May turned into a red panda because it was a good luck charm for the temple. And she would have planned to monetize May's red panda's form for profit. This direction for Ming was ultimately scrapped due to Domi feeling it made her too much of a one-note villain. The family's nickname for Maylin, Mei, is Mandarin for little sister. Speaking of family, we need to introduce May's dad, Jin, voiced by Orion Lee, who's been in a couple of episodes of EastEnders and has appeared in Zack Snyder's Justice League. The other one is not a canon event. Ooh, right on cue. Lee's home is a perfect representation of the family's Chinese-Canadian lifestyle, and while May blends seamlessly into her household, joining mom and dad for homemade meals and watching TV alongside her mom, May's growing pains come to light within the walls of her bedroom. At first glance, it is quite tidy for a teenager's room, but like May herself, there's more to that story. Says now set director Christian Norelius says I think she's been trying to live up to her mum's expectations by having everything sorted and organized. But beneath the bed is evidence of her emerging self with new interests that she shares with her friends.
He should have listened to his mother and married Ling Yi.
Totally. Xiu Yu is so two-faced.
She's just using him to get to the throne.
Mei then sees a commercial for Four Towns tour with tickets on sale, much to Ming's disgust. The number 4 is considered unlucky in Chinese culture, as it sounds similar to the word for death in both Mandarin and Cantonese, the two forms of the Chinese language. As much as Mei hates Devon, her drawing of him and fantasizing about him says otherwise. Then it all goes south, causing Ming to lay into Devon.
You! Oh, what have you done to my Mei?
Mei leaves the store embarrassed at what happened.
Is there anything else I should know about Mei?
Nope. All good.
Later that night, Mei ends up being affected by Sun Yi, transforming her into... a giant red panda. Naturally, Mei freaks out at this change, which alarms Ming, and then...
It's going to be okay. No, it's not. Will you just get out?
Excuse me?
At least, Ming is trying to be as supportive as possible at this point. Mei starts calming down and transforms back into a human.
Yes! No!
Until she has a moment of excitement becoming the panda again. Oops. She then quickly works out that remaining calm keeps her human. Pete Docter basically described Mei's situation in the movie as the Hulk, but cuter, when presenting it at the D23 presentation in 2021. Tyler, determined to embarrass Mei at every opportunity, puts posters up about what happened the previous night. What doesn't help is that Mei's mom is outside. This causes another transformation, concerning her mom in the process.
OMG!
Oh, and that kid there? Insulin pumping on their arm, if you zoom in close enough on it. Mei runs home.
Awooga!
That's not awkward at all. They both make it home after Ming calls the rest of the family. Jin's reaction says it all, leading to...
It's happened already?
What did you say?
Ming then tells Mei about what happened with Sun Yi and how the panda curse came to be. Thanks to a red moon, there is a cure, which requires a ritual at the next red moon. There is a catch though.
But any strong emotion will release the panda. And the more you release it, the more difficult the ritual will be.
The next red moon is scheduled for the 25th, which is slightly incorrect in reality, because a lunar eclipse actually happened on May 26th, one day after the events of the film's climax. However, it was not easily visible in the Toronto area. 1 day out! They put a plan in place to help Mei overcome the panda curse. Jin does reassure Mei with...
Red is a lucky color.
The ethereal oriental music here is beautiful. Sounds like something that might be out of Kingdom Hearts. On the subject, this would be a great world to have in Kingdom Hearts 4, and you'll understand why when we get towards the end of the film. The next morning, May tries everything to keep the panda from coming out, but to no avail. Thankfully, her friends arrive to help calm her down.
It's May. Calm down, right? I'm gonna let go, and you're gonna be chill. Got that?
But not before they tell May 4Town are coming to Toronto.
So floppy! You're so floppy!
Have I mentioned how much I love Abby in this film? May breaks down, but her friends comfort her with a bit of 4Town. This is the sort of friendship everybody wants.
We love you, May.
You're our girl.
Yeah, no matter what. Panda or no panda.
This helps May transform back, much to Abby's disappointment. May then gets an unusual idea.
Abby, hit me.
And your winner of this match by knockout, Abby! Only no panda. May is then tested regarding controlling the panda, leading to the of the kitten box. And she passes. Small issue though. Why is there no holes in the box? The foursome ask their parents regarding the 4Town tickets, but no success.
Maybe we should trust her.
It's them I don't trust. Look at those glittery delinquents with their gyrations.
Ming doesn't even give Jin a chance to give his 2 cents on the situation. No concert, and that's final.
And $200? For what? Who do they think they are? Celine Dion?
Well, she is from Canada. After all, Ming's mother calls and simply finishes with,
I'm on my way. With reinforcements.
No! I can handle it! I can...
Ming's expression is just priceless here. Oh, Abby's response is also very hilarious.
Mine called it stripper music! What's wrong with that?
Now, I'm not going to play actual stripper music for obvious reasons. You thought the helicopter parenting was bad in Luca?
Sometimes she's just so
Wacko?
Ma'am, please! I'm sorry,
This is borderline stalking your own daughter. No normal parent would go to that sort of extreme. Tyler's comments cause May to snap. And apparently that throw was illegal, causing May to be out of the game. The money-making scheme to get the 4Town tickets is to have May in panda form.
Wait, so you like the panda? Like it? I love it! I'll give you anything. Money? My kidney! My soul? Yeah!
Time for the panda hustle! All backed by the absolute bop that is You Know What's Up. My favorite song of the entire soundtrack. I'm not detracting from the film score, by the way. Not detracting from the film score. It's just, this track is just so awesome. I always find myself dancing to it at every opportunity whenever I hear it. And our quartets are no different. Photos with the panda, merchandise, and plenty of money to be made, May and her friends are determined to attend the 4Town concert. So filmmakers knew they'd need a spectacular venue for the occasion. Artists started with the actual dimensions of Toronto's Sky Dome, then played with the scale to find the sweet spot, allowing the climatic ending to unfold to its greatest potential. Dave Hill, who's the effects supervisor for the film, and his team studied live concerts to help build the effects for the concert sequences, and we'll get to Sky Dome later on in the film. We did a bunch of stage fog, pyrotechnics, and vapor geysers, he says, and cinematographer Maya Abu Saidi set out to create an authentic concert experience. I was obsessed with the boy band scene to the point where I spent an entire weekend watching every NSYNC and Backstreet Boys music video I could. He says, the cinematographer said, We really wanted our camera and choreography to capture the look and feel of videos from the late 90s and early 2000s. I looked at technology from the era and found the spider cam. It was brand new at the time and all the rage. It was attached to a cable so that it could move across wide spans of a stadium. There's a larger than life feeling you get with wide angle lenses, and the animation brought gold to that scene. That makes you larger than life. That was actually one of the two songs that was used in the trailers for the film. The other one, of course, being It's Gonna Be May. Quite fitting for the first trailer, especially.
Check out number 12. He's got doubts for days. Forget that. I need lunch. I'm starting to black out!
Rip. They only need another $100 to reach the target. Tyler says he has a birthday party at his place on Friday, which will guarantee they get the rest of the funds. May tries to head out, but her mom decides to take her to the mathletes until the reinforcements arrive. I'll give them this. That's how you make an entrance.
Meanwhile, thousands of miles away.
Tyler's party isn't exactly going well. Back home, May sneaks out after going to bed.
It feels so good to let it out, so free. But each time you do, the stronger it gets. And then you'll be bound to it forever, and the ritual will fail.
May makes it to the party and is beyond reluctant to bring the panda out, considering they only have enough for 3 tickets. These days, you have to order your ticket beforehand, otherwise the concert sells out.
We'll just, figure something.
I won't go. What? Priya, you can't not go. Jesse's your soulmate.
But we only have enough for 3 tickets.
Then I'll stay home. Abby, no. I'll stay home.
Guys, if we can't all go, then none of us should go.
They decide to bring the panda out one more time, and that gets the money they need for the concert. May's then busted, thanks to Ming finding things under her bed, and breaking point is reached at the party. The 18th is not in Toronto.
What? 이게 뭐야? 돌리고? 미친 거 아니야? 이게 어딘데?
Best scene of the movie for Abby, ranting in Korean. The 25th, in fact, is when Toronto is happening for the world tour. The same night as the ritual. Definitely not concerning at all.
Get out of here! Go back to your psycho mom and your creepy temple, you freak!
May snaps, attacking Tyler, and back home she goes. The next evening, the concert arrives, and May is at home for the ritual. Jin then tells May the story of Ming and the fallout they had involving the panda.
The point isn't to push the bad stuff away, it's to make room for it. Live with it.
Hence the title of the documentary, Embrace the Panda. The music here is really reflective as well. The ritual is underway, the incantation is recited in Cantonese, the more complex of the two forms of Chinese from what I've been told anyway. May is then graced with the presence of Sun Yi. May doesn't follow through with the ritual, keeps the panda, and heads to the concert, giving us a Peter Planet truck in the process. Ming then snaps, and her panda is unleashed. I'll say this, the visuals for this are very impressive. Something else I love is the music, combining the orchestra and the oriental sounds as May lands in the stadium. Textbook landing, my friend. A huge comedy moment is they also discover Tyler is a fan of Four Town as well. Now, if that were me, I would be, if that were me at a Westlife concert back then, yeah, I'd have boys laughing at me and girls likely wanting to get to know me more. Bearing in mind, in 2002, I was only 9 years old. Still primary school age at the time. Although I did have somebody in my year that was very obsessed with Westlife like myself. Gemma, I think her name was. Oh my word, that takes me back a long time. Talking nearly 20 plus. We're talking 20 plus years. Yikes. Anyway, unaware of the events taking place outside the Sky Dome, our now quintet enjoyed the start of the show. Ming makes it to the concert, and it's time for the final showdown, if you will. This, you know that thing I said about Kingdom Hearts 4 earlier? Let's bring that back into the equation for the moment. Heartless Ming as the boss for this world, all while you've got the Oriental music playing in the background. Maybe a bit of 4-Town as well, thrown in midway during the battle as well. Hey, I'm just throwing pitches out here, Square Enix. Even if Ming isn't the villain, but does become an antagonist when her panda comes out, causing damage to the Sky Dome.
This isn't you!
This is me!
Oh dear. Tempted to start singing The Greatest Showman now at this point. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Hey. Oh, and by the way, top right of your screen if you want to hear my thoughts on The Greatest Showman, which was last year's Christmas special? The 2023 Christmas special. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Side note, took me long enough to point you to the top right of your screens.
I like boys! I like loud music! I like gyrating! I'm 13! Deal with it!
Not how you want to dishonor your mother.
Where's Jin? Jin!
He's giving us an A113 with his chalk machine! Mei manages to knock Ming out, and the lunar eclipse is almost past. Thanks to the help of the rest of the family, her friends, the crowd, and 4-Town, they managed to complete the ritual. And honestly, the combination of the incantation and 4-Town is something I never knew I needed.
I'm just so sick of being perfect. I'm never gonna be good enough for her. Or anyone.
This is just a beautiful moment between these two. And Mei decides to keep the panda. Visually, this scene is just stunning. Very dreamlike as well. Ming accepts Mei for who she is, as Sun Yi also accepts Mei's choice. The family make revenue that is raised to rebuild Sky Dome.
Bye, Mom! Bye, Dad!
Hold on. You're not going out like that, are you?
My panda, my choice, Mom. I'll be back before dinner, okay?
Fine.
And then we have 4-Town playing us out of the credits. A special dedication to Pixar's daughters, mothers, aunts, and grandmas, and that they are magical. This is such a fun film and needs more attention. Time for the scores, I think. Story gets a 9. A fun coming-of-age story that goes about puberty in a way young girls can relate to, especially with the hijinks that ensue when the panda is unleashed. The characters also get a 9. This is mainly for Abby and how expressive she is from the outset. You could argue the same for the rest of the characters, even if Ming's overprotectiveness can be taken a bit too far sometimes. Visuals? Oh, go on, you knew I was giving them an 11 just for the anime expressions alone? The anime expressions are what give this an 11 alone. Soundtrack? Yeah, I'll give it a 10. This is mainly down to 4-Town, but the score is just as good, especially the blend between the Oriental and orchestral music. The legacy. Oh boy. I've got plenty to go through regarding the legacy of this film. Some of the marketing included novelizations, short stories, a sticker album, a behind-the-scenes book, coloring books, and a manga focused on 4-Town. At Shanghai Disneyland, Mei was a meet and greet character but only for a couple of months, which is a shame because I feel she should have been a permanent addition to the park. Cases of the Omicron variant of the COVID virus were what led Disney to put the film onto Disney+. People were being vaccinated by this point. By putting it on Disney+, you shafted the hard work of the animators put into the film. So once more, with feeling, unacceptable! I've already mentioned the documentary. The Spark Shorts short, Kit Bull, was released alongside the 2024 film's 2024 re-release. I already brought up the banning curated for something that is a natural part of development. Explicit depictions? I don't get these countries banning things like this, which are part of life, especially for women. Disney are to blame for the box office receipts, or lack thereof, as the film only grossed $21.5 million from its $175 million budget. Now you understand the frustration the animators had with Disney. That being said, 2.5 million US households streamed the film on opening weekend, making it a record for a Disney Plus original title, which shouldn't have been on Disney Plus only to begin with. This was the final straw, as Disney have conditioned people at this point to wait for the films to come out on Disney Plus instead of watching them on the big screen. What a joke of a company Disney have become, with boneheaded decisions like this. 95% on Rotten Tomatoes in terms of the critical reception, with the consensus reading, heartwarming, humorous, beautifully animated, and culturally expansive. Turning Red extends Pixar's long list of family-friendly triumphs. The film also received nominations at the Oscars, BAFTAs, and Golden Globes, as well as 7 Annie nominations, losing out to Guillermo del Toro at all 4 ceremonies. Nobody Like You got a Grammy nomination for Best Song Written for Visual Media, losing out to We Don't Talk About Bruno, which is interesting because what was the eligibility time frame for? I mean, what was the eligibility time frame for songs at the Grammys? What was the eligibility time frame for that? Anyway, another ceremony the film lost out to was at the Kids' Choice Awards, and it lost out to Minions. Really? Oh boy. The Legacy gets a 6. And that low score is solely on Disney for their boneheaded decisions I've already ranted about to death at this point. Despite this, the overall score for this film is a very respectable 90%. Now, the moment of truth. Where does it land on the board? Tied with Cars and A Bug's Life. That's far from ideal, but nevertheless, at least it's not bottom of the board, and it's in the 90s. Word of advice to everyone who is a Disney fan: do not wait for Disney Plus and go and see these animated films on the big screen. The live action remakes, I'm not concerned about because everybody's getting sick of them at this point. Regarding this film, absolutely watch it, especially if you have young girls in the family. They'll understand the film's themes easily, and I'm sure the film will help prepare them for what's to come when they reach that stage in their lives. That being said, hope you enjoyed this episode looking at Turning Red. If you did, hit the thumbs up, and if you want to be part of the Kingdom of Isolation yourself, you can hit the subscribe button down at the bottom, click the bell, turn on notifications so you don't miss when an episode goes live on this channel. The next episode, we're heading to Infinity and Beyond, where we are going to be looking at Lightyear, which was the ultimate comeback to the big screen for Pixar that summer. But until then, I'll see you guys next time in the Kingdom of Isolation.